Fear. Fear can be all-consuming. It can immobilize you, and in very extreme cases, it can kill you. When you're scared, your body produces a chemical called adrenaline. Adrenaline is a naturally producing chemical that makes your heart beat faster, and sometimes too much of this chemical can cause death. Theoretically, though, it's very hard to do, but sometimes you can be scared to death. We can be scared of many things. We can be scared of heights, spiders, balloons. What are some of your biggest fears? Glossophobia. This is a fear most of us have, and this is the fear of public speaking or speaking in general. And this fear, a great comedian, Jerry Seinfeld, used to say in his speaking career that this is the second biggest fear over death. People would rather die than speak at their own funeral. It's really not true. That is not the second fear, but it is really high up on the scale. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about what it is to be afraid of public speaking and how there are some techniques that help us can get over that. I want to talk to you about myself and my fears first. Right from the get-go, even when I was a little child, I was afraid to speak to people. I was afraid to do anything that would talk to people. I could be on stage and be an actress because I was somebody else, but just to talk to somebody or try to give a speech where people would take me seriously, I could not do it. I was 12 and my mom tried to get me to go deliver packages for her. And I cried so hard and I almost didn't make it through there. And I was really mad at my mom, even though she said there's no such word as can't, and she made me go and do it. And I did it, but it was all terrifying. In college, we had to take public speaking in our accounting class. And I remember going up and giving my 2-minute speech and being done and sitting down at my desk and passing out for a few minutes. And then I had to run to the bathroom too. Yes, I had to throw up. After that, everybody said I did a great job, that I was wonderful, everything was put together well, but I was so terrified. In Toastmasters, when I started Toastmasters, I gave a 14-minute icebreaker, shaking the whole time. Since then, I have been able to overcome my fear of public speaking. Why do we have these fears? They're brought on by triggers. And some of these triggers would be maybe new and unknown situations, or perhaps there's a risk of failure. You're afraid that you are going to fail when you give a speech. Or perhaps maybe you're afraid of being foolish. And then there's the big one, maybe boring the audience. In Toastmasters, we never really bore anybody because we're all really nice people and we really want to hear what you say and we really want to hear you improve. What are some of the symptoms that you have of anxiety? Well, you can have that increased heart rate. Maybe you have those butterflies in your stomach, where you feel like you want to throw up. You can shake. There's lightheadedness, dizziness, headaches, muscle tension, all of those things that can happen when you're anxious. And it can be overwhelming, and it can actually immobilize you. Learning how to control those fears and those symptoms is the key to helping you with fear. When we're public speaking, before you learn how to control your fear, you're going to look like this before God. And that's how I look like in my icebreaker. I was terrified. And now when I give a speech, even though I am afraid a little bit, but I've learned to control that, I look more like the after guy. How do you do this? Well, a lot of it's just experience. Get as much experience as you can. Learn how to go out and do it. And that's what Toastmasters does. It gives you that experience, and it gives you the opportunity to practice without the fear of failure, without the fear of someone making fun of you. It's in a comfortable environment where we all support each other. Practice, practice, practice. Practice on the camera, practice in Toastmasters, practice in front of the mirror. Eventually, when you practice, you will get better and you will manage your fear and anxiety. When you are going to give a speech, rehearse it over and over again. Practicing and rehearsing go hand in hand. Do both, and you will find that the fear of giving a speech will be minimized. Don't have a meltdown when you're having this. I want to tell you the story of me as a brand new Toastmaster. I'd actually finished my first level of the competent communicator. I was going to my very first conference, and I was only going to support a friend and mentee who was getting their DTM, Michelle. I was also going because Randall Edge, your dear president here, was also in the international contest, and he was representing our club in the district international. And I wanted to see that. One of my frenemies at the time, she's actually a really good friend of mine, asked me to be the test speaker at the evaluation contest. And I went, I don't think so. She said, oh, you can do it. You can do it. Well, I remember after spending the conference listening to those keynote speakers, and they were great. Bob Huey was wonderful. And then listening to the international speech contest and my mind being blown at how good everyone was. You should have heard Randall that day. And that night, Saturday night, and I knew I had to give my test speech on Sunday morning, I did not sleep. I paced all night. I couldn't eat. My stomach was in cramps. And by the time I got up in the morning, I went and sat down, and I sat down with Mr. Randall, and he took one look at me and he said, okay, this is what you're going to do. And he gave me some very helpful tips on how to get over my fear and be able to give that test speech. I'm happy to say I did a wonderful job, and people came up afterwards and told me they thought it was wonderful. Let's talk about some of those things that he told me to do and other things that I have brought in that regard. The first thing that you might want to do to manage your anxiety or fear is to deep breathe. Learn how to do those deep breathing exercises. They're all over the YouTube. Check them out. Learn how to do that, learn how to relax, and learn how to breathe and get through that. And then you're a lot more relaxed. Another thing you can do, and this was the big one that Randall taught me, was to visualize. He said, what I want you to do is I want you to walk into that room. I want you to get up on that stage, and I want you to imagine giving that speech. Imagine the place was full of people. And back then there was about 300 or 400 people. And he said, I want you to imagine them cheering you on. Pick out a few of your key friends so you can connect with them so you're not too scared. And then he said, I want you to go sit down, and I want you to sit tall on the edge of your seat and know that you're going to do a great job. What he taught me was visualization, and it was a really effective technique. So imagine that you're doing well. Go through that whole event when you're practicing your speech about how well you're going to do. You will be surprised at how you manage your fear. And when it comes time to get up on that stage or in front of the camera, take a deep breath, focus, sit up straight and tall, and just do it. A lot of folks have other different ways that they manage it. They maybe not eat big meals. They don't drink coffee. They might even listen to music. Myself, I like listen to heavy metal, so that relaxes me. But remember, whatever it is that you need to do to conquer your fear, do it. Remember, fear is a top fear of people, and especially public speaking. And if you learn how to recognize your anxiety triggers, and you learn how to conquer your fear by deep breathing exercises and visualization and anything that you need to do that, you will conquer your fear. And I want to leave you with one other thing that my mother taught me. There is no such word as can't. Betty Chartier, you can do it. You can become a speaker and you can conquer your fear.